June 20th, 2016. I'd like to talk today about the Constitution. I've my definition of as far as the Constitution goes is the main body of the Constitution does not include the Bill of Rights. Okay, the reason I believe it didn't is because the Constitution, the main body, was to address what the government, the federal government, had a right to handle. The reason why they did the first 10 amendments as a Bill of Rights is exactly what they called it, a Bill of Rights. It was listing things. They were concerned as far as freedom goes, that government could usurp and take away from the people. They understood, because they came from Europe, where governments were more run by one person, that the damages that could be done by one person being able to decide what's right for everybody else, what's morally right for everyone else. Those Bill of Rights was to protect us. That's why they had the thing where it's protects, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, and the Second Amendment was because those individual items could be usurped by the government unless they're in the Constitution. But the Constitution, again, was never meant to be a framework for this is legal, this is not. Okay, so we need to understand that when we're looking at the amendment, that it is not a right given to the government to regulate. It is a right specifically claimed by the people that that the government cannot take without our permission. And the only time we messed this up was during Prohibition, and obviously it didn't take long for us to figure out that that was not something government should be doing. So I think if you really look at the Constitution in that regard, it makes a lot more sense. And it also explains, and it is my reasoning, that the amendment process is the only way for government to get the approval from the country, from the citizens and the states, to where we have a chance to get our thoughts out, the arguments completely hashed out over all 50 states. It was set in motion for a very logical reason, but we need to understand that the entire Constitution has nothing to do with morality. It has to do with what government can and cannot do. So whenever you pass a law, like the North Carolina law, you need to understand that this is not a moral. This is not something the Constitution can address. It is not a moral right given to under the Constitution, because morality, they understood, needed to be taught at home, not in the legislature, not by a small group of people sitting in a smoky room. I think if you start to look at the Constitution in that regards, you're going to find things a lot easier to understand why the Supreme Court is voting the way that they do. It's completely clear what they're doing if you look at it from this perspective. Thank you.